Silence is louder than words. And when you stop texting, stop calling, stop chasing, she feels it in ways she'll never admit. This is not just ignoring, it's a mirror. And in that mirror, she sees the truth about herself. Welcome back to Brainify On. Today, I'll break down exactly why your silence haunts her more than any text ever could. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss out. 1. A sudden shift of power. When you go silent, everything changes in ways you didn't expect. Think about it. Yesterday, she had you. Every little message, every check-in, every good morning, or did you eat was like free attention. She knew she could post a picture, and within minutes you'd react. She thought she had control, because she knew where your focus was. But the day you stopped, the ground shifted. Suddenly, the person who was always available is no longer there. And that gap feels bigger than she ever imagined. Silence has weight. It makes her question the balance in their relationship. She once felt like she was choosing whether to reply or not, as if she was the one with power. But when your voice disappears, she realizes she doesn't hold as much control as she thought. Power moves in silence because it doesn't explain itself. It doesn't justify. It doesn't ask. It doesn't beg. It just exists. A woman might not admit it, but this shift unsettles her. She feels uneasy because she built her comfort around your presence. Your constant communication was a safety net, even if she sometimes ignored it. Now, with nothing there, she feels the lack. She feels the loss. The phone that once buzzed is quiet, and that quiet cuts deeper than any argument. She might event-threatened. She doesn't care. She may act bussy, post more online, laugh louder around friends, but those things are just masks behind them. She knows she has the advantage, and it gnawed her because deep down she wants to be Theon in control. When you go silent, she no longer knows what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're planning. That mystery alone makes her restless. Men often think silence is weakness, but it's the opposite. Silence is the weapon she never sees coming. It forces her to confront reality. She's not the center anymore. That realization shakes her because it means the game is no longer hers to run. You didn't. You didn't even have to say a word. That's why the sudden shift of power haunts her. It's not about anger or revenge. It's about showing strength stepping back, too. Her mind fills the silence with stories. Here's the thing about silence. It's never really empty. When you don't text her, when you don't call, her mind refuses to leave the space blank. The brain is wired to sequence worse. And when it doesn't get them, it creates its own. That's where the haunting begins. She starts asking herself questions she doesn't want to face. Did he move on? Is he talking to someone else? Did he forget about me already? Those thoughts creep in during the quiet moments when she's lying in bed. When she sees her phone light opened. Hopes it's you, but it isn't. That small disappointment repeats over and over until it starts to sting. And here's the trap. She can't escape thestries her mind builds. Every silence is like a blank page, and her imagination scribbles painful scenarios all over it. Maybe you found Simeona prettier. Maybe you're happier with her. Maybe you finally stopped caring. Each thought digs deeper, even if none of them are true. This is why silence is more powerful than words. Words can be debated, argued against, explained. But silence leaves no defense. She can't fight against the absence. All she can do is replay the past, overthink her own actions, and wonder what went wrong. You've probably noticed this before. After you go quiet, she might suddenly like an old picture of yours or send a random message like, "Hey, just checking on you." It looks casual, but it's not. It's her way of testing if the story she's been telling herself is true, because the silence scared her enough Toimagine losing you completely. The iron is silence does what constant talking never could. It makes her chase. Not always on the outside, but in her head, she never admit it. But every day you'd reach out. She's having conversations with herself about you, and that mental chase is what truly haunts her. 3. Silence attacks her ego. Now let's talk about the ego. Every woman, no matter how confident or independent she appears, carries an ego that thrives on being wanted. Attention is just nice. It feeds her sense of impotence. That's why compliments, messages, check-ins, they all matter more than you realize. When you stop giving that, something happens. It's not just her heart that feels the absence. It's her pride. She starts wondering, why isn't he chasing? Doesn't he miss him? Doesn't he need me like before? Those questions sting because they challenge her self-image. The ego hates being ignored. It wants to feel chosen. Now think of it like this. When you were texting constantly, you were watering your ego every single day. It bloomed echoes of your attention. But when you pull back, the soil dries up and suddenly, she doesn't feel as powerful as before. That loss of validation is brutal, even for the strongest woman. Some women react by pretending they didn't care, but ego rarely stays quiet. It'll push her to do little things. Watch your stories. Post something mean to get your attention. Throw hints. In group chats, she's trying to rebuild that sense of importance you used to give. Because your silence didn't just leave a gap in her heart, it left a dent in her pride. And this is the key. Silence doesn't just break emotional comfort. It confronts the ego with its worst fear, being replaceable. The moment she feels you don't need her, she questions her value. And that's why silence haunts her ego more than any argument ever could. 4. Absence makes emotion stronger. Here's the strange thing about absence. It magnifies what was once ignored. When you were always available, she could scroll past your messages without much thought. But when those messages vanish, the value of even the smallest one arises. Suddenly, that simple, "How's your day?" feels golden in memory. It's human nature to underestimate what's always there. Think about water. You didn't value it until you're thirsty. Your presence worked the same way. She thought it would always be there, so she didn't fully appreciate it. Silence here rubs that safety, and that's when reality hits. She begins to remember your old calls differently. What once felt routine now feels meaningful. Share plays the way you laughed, the comfort off your voice, the little details that seemed ordinary before. Absence sharpens Mori, turning the basic into the beautiful. And that's why it hurts. It makes her realize she missed the value and it was in front of her. This is why silence is so powerful. It's not just lack of words. It's the presence of longing. The empty space forces her to it with emotions she pushed aside. And the very day without your voice deepens the craving for it. Women often think they'll be fine when a man goes quiet, but time proves otherwise. What felt like freedom at first turns into weight. The silence grows heavier because absence doesn't fade. It amplifies. That's why she begins to long for thievery presence she once overlooked. 5. She tests herself, but fails quietly. At first, she'll tell herself she's strong enough to handle it. She'll think, "I didn't need him. I'll be fine." That's your ego's defense mechanism. She may even go out of her way to prove it, posting selfies, laughing louder around friends, acting unbothered. But here rests the secret. Most women fail this test they set for themselves. Every day she doesn't hear from you. She's quiet liking if you'll break first. Will you send that late night hey? Will you watch her story? Will you slip and give her back the power? She's counting on it, but when you don't, the pressure builds. Silence turns into a mirror she can't avoid. She sees her own weakness in it. She realizes she's the one refreshing your profile. She's the one waiting. She's the one breaking the rules she swore she'd follow. The more she tries to act like she doesn't care, the more she exposes how much she actually does. And this is why silence is such a test. Not for you, for her. Most women fail because silence isn't just about waiting. It's about self-control. And when she realizes you have it, and she doesn't, it cuts deep. That's when the quiet slip happens. Maybe she sends a random hey after weeks. Maybe she reacts to your post just to see if you'll notice. Maybe she asks mutual friends about you. It looks small, but it's proof. Your silence forced her into breaking her own mask. 6. Silence forces her to face reality. Words can be twisted. Arguments can be explained away. But silence leaves no excuses. When you stop reaching out, you're not giving her something to fight against. You're giving her truth she can't ignore. She can't say you're overreacting because you said nothing. She can't claim you misunderstood base you didn't ask. All that's left is reality. Maybe you don't need her like before. Maybe you're stronger without her. Maybe she's not as irreplaceable as she once thought. That's what makes silence haunting. It strips away the stories and shows her raw facts. She doesn't have the comfort of blaming you or twisting the narrative. Instead, she sits with an uncomfortable thought. What if he's truly done? And that's the hardest part. Silence forces her to see the truth she tried to avoid. She might have thought she could keep you waiting forever. She might have believed you'd never pull back. But your silence proves otherwise, and that realization lingers long after the phone stops buzzing. Silence is more than absence. It's presence in a different form. The presence of strength, self-control, and discipline. And once she feels it, she can't unfeel it. That's why it doesn't just echo, it haunts. Silence isn't weakness. It isn't about ignoring or playing games. It's about choosing strength over desperation. And that strength is rare because most people fear silence. They rush to fill it with words, with calls, with texts, because deep down they're afraid of being forgotten. But when you learn to stay calm in silence, you flip the entire game. You see, silence is not empty. It speaks louder than begging ever could. It says, I'm not here to convince you of my worth. You already know it. That's the message your silence sends. And whether she admits it or not, she hears it. Every time she picks up her phone and doesn't see your name, it's a reminder that you've stopped feeding her ego. Every time she scrolls and doesn't spot your message, it's a reminder that she's no longer in control. And that haunts her. Not because she doesn't have other people's attention, but because it's yours she truly notices missing. You were a consistent, reliable, present. She felt secure knowing you were there. But when it disappears, she feels the sting of absence in ways no one else can cover. That's the power of silence. It forced her to see the reality she was avoiding. Now, I want you to remember something important. Silence isn't about punishing her. It's not about sitting with bitterness or hoping she suffers. That's not Stoicism. That's pettiness. Real Stoicism is about self-control. It's about showing yourself that you don't need to chase validation. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to beg for attention. When you embrace silence, you're telling yourself, I am enough, even without her reply. And here's the twist. That mindset makes you more attractive, not just to her, but to everyone. Because people are drawn to those who don't need your calm, your control, your ability to sit with quiet. That's magnetic. Women feel it, men respect it, and you carry it without even trying. That's why silence isn't just a tool for relationships. It's a discipline for life. So the next time you are tempted to break the silence, stop. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I choose to, or because I can't handle being ignored? If it's thickened, hold back. Because silence, when used with strength, creates more impact than 1,000 words ever will. Now, if you want to go even deeper into this mindset, don't miss my previous video. If she never calls or texts you first, just do this. It ties directly to everything we talked about today. That video will give you step-by-step clarity in handling her silence, her excuses, and her lack of effort without losing your power. Watch it after this one goes together. These two videos are like a blueprint for emotional control. Before you go, do 3 things for me. Smash that like button so more men can hear this message. Drop a comment below and type 1, choose silence. Let me know you're part of the few who actually live this truth. Subscribe to Brainify on and hit the bell, because what I'm sharing here is not just about women. It's about mastering yourself. Remember, silence is not empty. It's full of answers, and sometimes it's the only language worth speaking.